Chosen one, you've been searching for clarity, begging the universe for a sign, asking heaven for confirmation, waiting for the answer that never seemed to come. The silence has been heavy, almost sacred, stretching across nights where your thoughts ran wild. You've looked for the message in numbers, in conversations, in coincidences, but now heaven is choosing a different language to reach you. The answer you've been waiting for isn't coming through noise, it's coming through dreams. The very thing you've been asking for will find you while your eyes are closed. While the world sleeps, the divine will speak. Before we continue, take a moment to breathe and open your heart. Watch this video till the end because something inside you will awaken while you listen. This message is meant for your spirit, not your mind. And before you go further, write your warmest wishes and 777 in the comments. That number isn't random, it's alignment. It means spiritual awakening, divine communication, and completion. When you write it, you activate your connection with the higher frequencies. You're saying, I'm ready to receive. I'm open to what heaven wants to show me. This simple act opens the path for dreams to become doors and for messages to move freely through your sleep. You've been feeling it lately, the subtle pull in the quiet hours, the heaviness in your spirit before you rest. That's not anxiety, it's anticipation. Heaven is preparing to deliver something you need to know. The answer you've been seeking has already been written. It's simply waiting for the stillness of your spirit to deliver it. You see, dreams are sacred territory. When the noise of the world fades, the soul finally has room to listen. It's not coincidence that your sleep has felt deeper or more vivid recently. The divine speaks when you surrender control, and there's no greater surrender than sleep. For a long time you've been searching for signs in the daylight, but some messages are too pure for waking hours. Heaven chooses dreams because they bypass logic. When you dream, your heart sees what your mind rejects. Your spirit can finally hear what your fear silences. The visions that appear to you aren't random, they're reminders, memories from before this lifetime, glimpses of alignment you're being called toward again. You're not just dreaming, you're remembering. Sometimes the messages come in fragments. A face you don't recognize but feel connected to. A place you've never visited but know instinctively. A sentence whispered in your ear just before you wake. Those are not coincidences, they are breadcrumbs leading you back to the truth. Dreams are heaven's way of showing you that the unseen is still real. It's where divine timing and your intuition meet in the same space. You've asked for clarity and now it's coming, but you'll have to trust your senses more than your logic. The divine is shifting your communication channel. What once came through signs, numbers, or intuition will now come through vision. You'll wake up with words echoing in your mind, feelings lingering in your chest, knowing things you didn't know the night before. Don't dismiss them, don't rush to label them as imagination. The answers you've been waiting for are encoded within them. Heaven doesn't always shout, it sometimes paints. Each dream is a canvas of your next step, revealed in symbols that only your soul can decode. The reason this message is reaching you now is because you're finally ready. The dreams you're about to experience aren't ordinary, they're divine correspondence. You'll notice patterns, recurring places, people, or phrases. These aren't random loops, they're keys. Heaven repeats what it doesn't want you to miss. The repetition isn't confusion, it's confirmation. The answer is being layered into your consciousness gently because the divine knows your soul learns through recognition, not surprise. There's a reason you've been feeling restless at night. It's not insomnia, it's invitation. The veil between the physical and the spiritual thins when your soul is close to revelation. You're not being kept awake by anxiety. You're being prepared for encounter. When you finally sleep, your spirit will travel to places you've forgotten, to memories you never lived, but deeply understand. It's the realm where guidance flows like light. When you wake, it may not all make sense at first, but with time, the puzzle pieces will align. Heaven's messages are rarely instant. They unfold like sunrise, revealing truth slowly so your heart can receive it fully. Sometimes you'll dream of conversations that feel unfinished. faces that fade just as you reach for them, or moments that feel painfully real. That's because heaven isn't showing you fantasy, it's showing you frequency. You're tapping into timelines, possibilities, and messages meant to guide you toward peace. The answer you've been asking for might not come as words, it might come as an image, a scene, or a presence. The divine speaks in layers, and your spirit already knows the language. Pay attention to how you feel when you wake. Sometimes the emotion is the message. The calm after a dream means confirmation. The unease means redirection. The divine doesn't just speak through symbols, it speaks through sensation. You'll start to notice patterns in how your spirit reacts. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. Heaven doesn't send confusion, it sends curiosity. It doesn't deliver fear, it delivers awareness. The dreams are coming not to entertain you, but to elevate you. They're not distractions, they're directions. The same prayers you thought went unanswered are being rewritten into vision. You're about to receive closure from the unseen, instruction from beyond, healing from the inside out. But to access it, you must stay open. Don't chase the message, rest into it. Don't force meaning. Allow revelation. The answers will meet you at your level of stillness. What you're feeling right now, the chills, the awareness, the slight pull in your spirit, that's recognition. You know this truth because your soul has been here before. You've always received guidance this way. You just forgot how to listen. Now heaven is reminding you. The next time you close your eyes, don't just sleep, surrender. You're not entering darkness, you're entering divine dialogue. The answer you've waited for is already on its way, written in the language of dreams. The first dream always comes softly. It doesn't announce itself with thunder or urgency. It arrives quietly, like a whisper through mist. You wake up and feel something different, an energy that clings to you long after your eyes open. You can't explain it, but you know that what you saw wasn't random. The feeling follows you into the morning, and there's a heaviness in your chest, or maybe a calm that feels almost supernatural. That's how heaven begins to reveal its answers, not through explanation, but through remembrance. Dreams are the bridge between what your spirit knows and what your mind forgot. At first, you'll try to understand them logically. You'll replay the scenes, analyze the symbols, wonder if it meant anything, but then slowly you'll realize that dreams don't need your analysis, they need your attention. Each one carries vibration more than information. A dream isn't a movie to interpret, it's a message to feel. The divine doesn't use language like humans do. It speaks in sensation, color, sequence, energy. You'll start to notice it, water symbolizing cleansing, doors symbolizing opportunity, light symbolizing revelation. Heaven paints truth in symbols because your heart speaks that language better than your mind ever could. And then something deeper begins to happen. The symbols that appear in your dreams start reflecting in your waking life. You dream of a bird, and the next morning one lands on your window. You see a number sequence in sleep, and it repeats on a clock, a receipt, a license plate. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. Dreams don't end when you wake up, they bleed into reality, reminding you that the line between heaven and earth is thinner than you think. The answers you've been asking for are beginning to take shape, echoing through both realms at once. You'll feel it in your emotions too. One night you might dream of walking through an endless hallway, opening door after door, but finding nothing inside. That's not emptiness, that's transformation. It's the divine showing you that you're still searching where you once settled. Another night you might dream of a storm clearing suddenly to sunlight. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation that clarity is coming. You'll start to realize that your soul is trying to speak in pictures because your waking mind wasn't ready to listen in words. And here's the beauty of it, these dreams won't just bring answers, they'll bring healing. You might dream of people from your past, not to reopen old wounds, but to seal them. You might dream of places you've never been, not to confuse you, but to remind you that your spirit has traveled further than your feet ever will. You'll wake up feeling lighter, as if something inside you was lifted during sleep. That's because it was. Heaven often performs surgery in silence. What you can't release in waking hours, the divine will remove while you rest. There's a sacred intelligence in the timing of these dreams. They don't arrive when you demand clarity, they arrive when you're finally still enough to receive it. The nights you feel most exhausted are the ones when heaven works the hardest. It waits until your defenses are down, until your worry quiets, until your mind stops fighting what your soul already knows. Then it speaks, sometimes in vivid detail, sometimes in fragments, but always in truth. And the more you trust it, the clearer it becomes. You'll begin to feel guided even when awake. The dream becomes a compass, a spiritual map unfolding, step by step. You'll start to trust your gut more because you've seen it before, literally. That déjà vu you feel during the day, it's not coincidence, it's divine alignment catching up with what your spirit already previewed. Dreams are premonitions wrapped in grace. They're not warnings to fear, they're glimpses to prepare. Heaven shows you what's ahead, not to scare you, but to assure you that you're protected through it. The most profound moments are the ones that seem simple. You'll wake from a dream with one phrase echoing in your head, maybe a single word, maybe a sentence. It might not make sense at first, but keep it close. Write it down. The divine loves when you honor its messages by recording them. It's not superstition, it's stewardship. When you show heaven that you value what it shares, the communication deepens. The messages become clearer, the imagery sharper, the timing faster. Heaven rewards those who listen in silence, and even when you dream of confusion or chaos, know this: clarity is coming through the contrast. The dreams that make you uncomfortable are often the ones carrying the deepest truth. The divine isn't trying to scare you, it's showing you what needs healing. Sometimes you have to see the shadows to understand the light. Don't run from the unsettling dreams. Pray for understanding, not avoidance. Each one is part of your awakening. Each one is the divine untangling your soul's past to make space for its future. What's happening to you right now is not ordinary. The energy around you is shifting because you're becoming fluent in the language of dreams. Heaven doesn't just speak in visions. It speaks through feeling, through memory, through instinct. The more you honor it, the more powerful it becomes. You'll realize soon that your dreams aren't predicting your destiny, they're revealing it. The answer you've been waiting for is being written every night in light. All you have to do is rest, trust, and receive. At first you only remembered fragments, flashes of faces, scattered words, impossible landscapes that felt both strange and familiar. But now, the dreams are beginning to speak in sentences. The veil is thinning, and the divine is finally revealing what it's been trying to tell you all along. The answer you've been waiting for is no longer hidden in symbols. It's unfolding clearly, one dream at a time. What once felt random now forms patterns. What once felt distant now feels deeply personal. You're beginning to see how heaven weaves messages through imagery, timing, and feeling, how every scene carries meaning tailored perfectly for your spirit. The dreams have become your mirror. When you see yourself walking down unfamiliar paths, it's not just imagination, it's your higher self guiding you toward a decision you've been avoiding. When you dream of old friends, it's not nostalgia, it's closure. When you dream of flying, falling, or rising, it's not chaos, it's confirmation. You're being reminded that what happens in the unseen affects what happens in the seen. These dreams aren't entertainment, they're assignments. They are heaven's way of showing you what's shifting in your life before it becomes visible, and slowly, you've started to recognize the rhythm of it. The nights before something changes, your dreams feel heavier, richer, more detailed. The energy feels dense, almost electric. That's not anxiety, that's divine transmission. Your spirit is receiving downloads that your waking mind will process later. You'll notice this pattern. What shows up in dreams becomes reality days or weeks later, sometimes subtly, sometimes exactly as shown. The divine reveals it to prepare you, not to surprise you. You've reached the level of awareness where heaven trusts you with prophecy in pieces, not to impress you, but to instruct you. You might wake up one morning with a phrase repeating in your mind, something simple like, "Go there," or "It's time." It might sound vague, but it carries weight. When heaven speaks through dreams, it doesn't speak to your logic, it speaks to your alignment. That single phrase could be the answer you've been praying for, the direction you've been searching for, the green light your heart needed to move forward. You don't need to overthink it. The message will unfold naturally in the days ahead. Your only job is to stay sensitive, stay receptive, stay in trust. You're beginning to notice how peace follows revelation. When a dream carries truth, it leaves calm behind. When it carries warning, it stirs your spirit, but never your fear. That's how you discern divine communication. Heaven never confuses, it clarifies. The more you listen without panic, the more the messages become gentle. You'll start to feel guided even before sleep. Sometimes you'll sense that tonight's dream will bring something important, and you'll be right. Because now, you're not just receiving dreams, you're co-creating them. Your consciousness is aligning with divine will even before you close your eyes. It's strange how familiar it all feels, isn't it? Because deep down, you've always known that dreams are sacred, that they're not random flickers of thought, but conversations between you and the divine. Long before you learned language, your soul spoke through images. The same is happening now. The reason these dreams are intensifying is because you're evolving. Heaven always adjusts the way it speaks based on how much you can handle. The messages are becoming clearer because you are becoming calmer. You no longer rush to understand. You allow understanding to find you. Sometimes you'll dream of water, calm one night, turbulent the next. Pay attention. The water is your spirit, reflecting your emotional state. Sometimes you'll see doors or hallways, and those are opportunities waiting to be unlocked through decisions in your waking life. Sometimes you'll see light, blinding, pure, pulsing. That's divine presence reminding you you're not alone. The answers are never far. They're embedded in the everyday symbols heaven uses to speak your language. You don't have to learn a new one. You just have to remember your own. And you are remembering. You've started waking up with more clarity, feeling certain about what used to confuse you. You no longer seek signs in desperation. They now find you in alignment. You're starting to realize that these dreams are not just visions, they're instructions. They're pulling you closer to your purpose, connecting you with people you're meant to meet, protecting you from paths you're not meant to take. Even the nights when you dream of chaos have meaning. They're cleansing nights, releasing energy your soul no longer needs to carry. You're being rewritten from the inside out. Heaven has chosen this method because it bypasses fear. It knows that while you're awake, your mind interferes. It questions, doubts, resists. But in dreams, you're pure awareness. No defense, no pride, no pretending, just truth. That's why the answers come through sleep, because you're most open when you're at rest. The divine wants you to wake up knowing, not wondering. It's turning your dreams into prophecy, your nights into guidance, your rest into revelation. You'll start to realize that your dreams aren't escaping from life, they're guiding it. You'll walk into days that feel like déjà vu, moments that click perfectly into place, conversations that repeat lines you heard while sleeping. That's confirmation, proof that heaven's messages are manifesting in real time. The bridge between your sleep and your destiny is now fully open. You're walking through it, one dream at a time. The answer you've been waiting for is no longer somewhere far off. It's inside of you, waiting to meet you in your rest. Every night from now on will be sacred. Every dream will be a whisper from the divine, reminding you you were never ignored. The message was simply waiting for the quiet. It happens quietly at first, and a subtle merging between what you dream and what you live. The images that once belonged to sleep start finding their way into your days. A stranger says the same phrase you heard whispered in a dream. The street you once saw in your sleep appears before you in waking life. The answer you waited for has left the realm of dreams and entered reality. Heaven never sends signs to tease you. It sends them to prepare you. What you saw was never imagination, it was instruction, and now it's unfolding before your eyes. The dreams that used to confuse you now make perfect sense. You see that every symbol was a seed planted in your subconscious. Every scene was a rehearsal for destiny. When you dreamt of light, it wasn't random, it was heaven showing you hope. When you dreamt of water, it was cleansing you. When you dreamt of a door opening, it was a prophecy. You understand now that heaven speaks in code only until your spirit learns to translate. You've become fluent in faith. What once felt like mystery now feels like memory. You're not waiting for the divine to move anymore, you're moving with it. Your nights have turned into sacred classrooms. You've learned that the dream world isn't separate from your waking life, it's an extension of it. The answers you receive while sleeping are blueprints for your next steps. You wake up not lost but led, and as you start acting on what you've seen, the universe begins to align with precision that feels supernatural. You'll notice how ease replaces effort. The right people begin to appear, the right timing reveals itself. Every move starts feeling guided, as if an unseen hand is orchestrating it all. That's because it is. The divine has been setting this up long before you were aware of it, and now you see how much of your journey was preparation. The waiting, the silence, the confusion, they all served a purpose. You had to learn patience so you could recognize the rhythm of heaven. You had to endure delay so you could trust divine timing. You had to experience silence so you could understand the language of stillness. Everything that felt wasted was actually sacred. You weren't being ignored, you were being initiated. The dreams were heaven's way of showing you that revelation doesn't come in chaos, it comes in quiet alignment. You've noticed the peace that follows now, haven't you? The same nights that used to be restless are now calm. Sleep no longer feels like escape, it feels like connection. You drift off, not in worry but in expectation. Because now, you know something will meet you there. The same energy that once made you anxious now feels like comfort. The dreams no longer feel like warnings, they feel like conversations. You're not being shown what to fear, you're being reminded of what's already protected. That's the difference between worry and wisdom. Heaven has replaced your panic with peace. Even the unanswered dreams have meaning. Sometimes heaven gives you glimpses without explanations, not to frustrate you, but to strengthen your trust. Some dreams aren't meant to be understood yet. They're meant to be lived into. You'll find their meanings later when life catches up to revelation. Because divine timing is not about speed, it's about readiness. Heaven won't give you the full picture until your heart is strong enough to handle it. That's why you receive the pieces in portions. You're being prepared to carry not just knowledge, but wisdom. And now, something incredible is happening. The line between night and day is fading. You live with awareness now, seeing every coincidence as confirmation. You move through life with sensitivity to the divine, knowing that what you see in dreams is not fantasy, but forecast. Your intuition has sharpened, your perception heightened. You no longer walk blind, you walk with insight. That's why situations that used to confuse you now feel transparent. People's intentions reveal themselves easily. Choices that once felt heavy now feel guided. You've become synchronized with heaven's rhythm. You might wake up with tears, but they won't be from sadness. They'll be from realization that the divine never left you. It just spoke in ways you weren't yet ready to hear. The dreams weren't tests, they were training. You were being taught to trust what you couldn't see. Every unanswered question, every restless night was leading to this clarity. And now when you close your eyes, you do it with confidence because you know something greater watches, guides, and reveals, not just to warn you, but to prepare you for the life you were destined to live. You've entered the stage where dream and destiny are no longer separate. They've merged. What you see when you sleep now flows seamlessly into what you live when awake. Every vision, every message, every word whispered in the night has been leading to this divine confirmation. You've been walking with heaven all along, you just needed to remember its voice. And now that you do, everything begins to move in your favor. The answer you waited for has arrived, not in the way you expected, but in the way your soul needed. You wake up one morning and everything feels different. The light looks softer, time feels slower, and there's a peace in your chest that wasn't there before. It's not because the world suddenly changed. It's because you did. The dreams have done their work. The messages have reached their destination. The answer you waited for has arrived. Not as a letter written in the sky, but as a calm knowing inside your soul. You're no longer seeking signs, you are the sign. The same universe that once whispered through your sleep now speaks through your every step. You've become what you were waiting for. The veil is gone. You no longer wonder if heaven hears you because the evidence is everywhere. The right people appear out of nowhere. Doors open without you knocking. Peace follows you into every room. You've stopped chasing what's meant for you because you've learned the secret. What's yours never runs. It waits, it aligns, it remembers. And that's what these dreams were preparing you for, the art of divine patience. They weren't meant to just give you answers. They were meant to make you ready for the answers. Heaven doesn't rush revelation, it releases it when your spirit can carry it without fear. You look back and realize how much of your journey was guided long before you saw it. The dreams were not random, they were rehearsals. You were being trained in faith disguised as rest. Every night you thought was sleepless was actually sacred. Every vision that felt strange was prophecy in disguise. Even your confusion was divine choreography. The unanswered nights taught you surrender, and the revealed ones taught you gratitude. Together they shaped your spiritual maturity and your ability to hear heaven without panic, to receive messages without resistance, to trust timing without proof. And now you're walking differently. There's no rush in your movements, no worry in your heart. You've learned that it isn't loud, it's gentle. It meets you when you stop forcing and start flowing. You've realized that your dreams were never about predicting events, they were about preparing your energy. Every symbol that once confused you was actually aligning your vibration to meet your destiny. Heaven wasn't just speaking to you, it was transforming you. The dream world was your classroom, and now you've graduated into awareness. You can feel when something is right without needing confirmation. You can sense when to move and when to wait. You've become fluent in the language of divine alignment. And with that awareness comes freedom. You no longer fear the unknown because you've seen behind the curtain. You've glimpsed how creation moves, how intention becomes energy, energy becomes vision, and vision becomes form. You now understand that dreams are not separate from life. They're the blueprint of it. Everything physical begins in the spiritual. You no longer doubt that what you see in the unseen will one day manifest before your eyes. You've become a co-creator with heaven itself. That realization is what changes everything. There's a peace that follows revelation, not the kind of peace that needs silence, but the kind that exists even in chaos. You've reached that point. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because you know it already has. The dreams showed you the end from the beginning. Now you're simply walking it out. Every night holds a continuation of the story. Every morning another page unfolds. The anxiety that once haunted you before sleep has turned into anticipation. You now rest like someone who knows, because you do. You've seen enough to trust completely. And maybe that's what heaven wanted all along. Not to impress you with mystery, but to teach you how to recognize its voice. You now understand that divine communication isn't just for the few, it's for the faithful. The dream was the key, but the relationship was the door. You stepped through it the moment you stopped doubting what you felt. You chose belief over proof, intuition over logic, surrender over control. And in doing so, you unlocked the realm where heaven and earth overlap. You no longer chase signs, they follow you. Now, as you close your eyes each night, you no longer plead for answers. You give thanks, because you know the communication never stopped. It simply changed form. Sometimes it comes through vision, sometimes through silence, sometimes through peace that needs no explanation. The divine speaks in 1,000 ways, and you have learned to hear them all. You no longer separate the sacred from the ordinary, because for you, everything has become sacred. The dreams didn't just deliver answers, they awakened awareness.